So the pinnacle of football is to be in the Super Bowl. You've been there 4 times. What's it like the week leading up to the Super Bowl?
Well, I've had a little bit of everything. I've had it where we only had a week before the Super Bowl from the championship game. And that was crazy because everybody calling and wanting tickets and trying to take care of the family, making sure that was all situated. So for me, it was pretty nuts. But once you get to the city, it's all business. Then you pretty much try to take it like it's an everyday game, even though it's not because there's so many distractions. But it's something that you, as a little boy, dream about, something that you play out in your mind and also play out in your backyard like I have. For me, it was a dream come true. I mean, everything from our Super Bowl 25 against the Giants. I was a little boy in my backyard, and I dropped back to pass, and I was leading my team down the field at 2 minutes to go in the game to win a Super Bowl. That happened to me. And 2 minutes ago, I'm the quarterback, leading the team down, hand off, a throw, all somewhere in field goal range, line up to kick it, thinking, right. And it sails wide right, and we lose. And that is very, very tough to swallow. But it's part of sports. There's only one champion, and everybody else is second place.
In high school, you played football and basketball, and you excelled in both sports. But in football, you played offense and defense, and you were so good on defense as a linebacker that Joe Paterno wanted you to come to Penn State to play linebacker. What is it about playing quarterback that took you all the way to Miami, Florida for your college career?
Well, I always thought that my best position was quarterback, even though I loved the part of linebacker hitting. I mean, I grew up in a family of 6 boys. So for me, that was, I guess, something was just part of me, being able to be the tough part and being able to take hits. But I also knew that I had a pretty good arm, and not being cocky, but confident that my ability could take me to a major college. I did want to play for Penn State, but when he told me that he wanted me as a linebacker, I was like, you got to be kidding me. And but thank God I did, because everything seemed to work out.
Mm-hmm. In 1983, you were a part of the greatest quarterback class to ever be drafted. 6 quarterbacks in the first round. 4 of you played in Super Bowls. 3 of you, Elway and Marino and yourself, are in the Hall of Fame. Did you have any idea at the time that 3 of you drafted on the same day would be in the Hall of Fame?
Well, at least for me, no. I never dreamt in my wildest dreams that the Hall of Fame would even be a word in my vocabulary, because I looked at guys like Merlin Olsen, Roger Staubach, Bart Starr, Johnny Unitas, all the guys that I watched growing up, Joe Namath, Terry Bradshaw. I thought about those guys. I didn't think about Jim Kelly from a little small town in Pennsylvania even being part of that. And then when the 3 of us are drafted, as our careers started to blossom, still didn't think about it, because you think from the team aspect of winning, going to the Super Bowl and those things. And what comes with success comes with the notoriety of being even brought into a conversation about Pro Football Hall of Fame. And as my career started winding down the last couple of years, it's being brought up all the time. And then you can just sit back and say, you know what, I did what I can, and if the voters feel that I'm deserving of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, great. I mean, that's the greatest honor bestowed on a professional athlete, is to be in the Hall of Fame. And for going in on the first ballot, that in itself is something that even my wildest dreams I never thought about.
Your Hall of Fame speech was unforgettable. To me, it distinguished itself way beyond normal athletic speeches. How was that moment with Hunter's reflection?
Well, I've probably gotten more compliments on my speech than I get about my football play, which is pretty cool. I rehearsed my speech. I went over in detail the people I wanted to thank. And then when it came time for me to speak about my son and my family, it was difficult. Knowing that, my son will never run out on the field like his daddy did and hear thousands and thousands of people cheer for him. But in my heart, knowing that he's going to help thousands and thousands of kids achieve their dreams, be able to set goals for themselves. I remember when I was picked as a class of 2002 to represent the Buffalo Bills in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That is picked in January, and then you got to wait till August to the Hall of Fame. And there are months in between. I prayed every night to the good Lord that if it was His will, that my son would be there the day that Daddy was inducted, and my dream did come true. my son was right there. I just got chills because he made me so much better of a man than I was before. Sometimes you take things for granted. Through Hunter, I've learned to be a better person, see the struggles that he went through, but also know that when we were sitting at home watching Daddy play on, VHSs back then, and seeing Daddy play football, I was able to share that with him. But that day will be one of the most precious days of my life because not only was Hunter there, but my wife and my 2 daughters.
Jim, you were literally less than 5 feet from the Super Bowl victory in Super Bowl 25. As a missed field goal was all that stood between you and a Super Bowl ring. Do you play that moment over in your head again and again and wonder, what if?
I'm a very good believer in my own mind that thinking positive and not keeping negative things into your mind is the right way to go. I think through the course of those years, and of course Super Bowl 25, I try not to dwell on the negative. Even though it was a positive, we made it there, but we didn't win. When I start thinking of things that will bring me down mentally, I quickly focus my attention elsewhere, focus my attention on the positive, because it does eat away at you. When I think of not just the field goal sailing wide right and what if we would have won that, and the question always asked, well, would you rather trade one for the 4 losses? No, because there's a lot of quarterbacks that have been to only 1 Super Bowl. But not for a quarterback can say that he took his team to 4 straight in a row. Not from the standpoint of winning or losing, and we didn't win any of those, but from the resiliency standpoint, from the never say die attitude, never giving up, always focusing your attention on how can we make this better? How can we get back there and get that opportunity to do it again? The good Lord has, I think, prepared me for after football, because through the course of my life, from senior year in college, my dream right in front of me, to playing the NFL, to blowing my shoulder out, everything I was looking forward to going into the NFL. Senior year, doctor came out of surgery and said, we had to insert 3 metal rods in your right arm. You may never get your range of motion back. To that devastating news, to thinking, am I never going to see the NFL? To playing in 4 Super Bowls and not winning them, and to the ups and downs, a roller coaster ride. Then 2 weeks after I retired from the NFL, a game that I loved, a game I played ever since I was a little boy, having a son born on my birthday, Valentine's Day, the excitement. Trust me, the game plan was already done. The script was already written. I already knew what I was going to do with my son. And then 4 months into his life, he was diagnosed with a fatal disease, and he lived to be 8 years old. So I think the Lord prepared me for what was the ultimate, and that was, number 1, my son born on my birthday, but number 2, him changing my life for the good.
Did you ever think you were going to become one of those Christians? I know that there are people who pressured you about spirituality. Did you think you were ever going to become one?
No. I was a Catholic. I went to church every Sunday. But I think for me, when it was pushed on me, it turned me away. And I've always been one to say, my saying even to my wife, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And I think being a leader, whether it's in sports, whether it's in business, you have to know how to speak to people. You can't just throw something on somebody, expect them to believe in what you believe. I've always been a firm believer in that. And when I was confronted with a lot of different circumstances in my life, I knew that, number 1, if I ever wanted to see my son again, if I ever wanted to walk through that front door and have my 2 daughters, Erin and Cameron, look at their daddy with respect, I knew I was going to have to change my life. Not because I had to, it's because I wanted to. And when I know that at least through the parties that we had, the fun that we did, don't get me wrong, there were enjoyable times. I had fun. But this is a different part of my life. This is a different type of enjoyment. I just wish that I would have became a Christian a long time ago. I would have still been able to have fun. I still do. I still go down to my lodge and have fun with my buddies and just still enjoy it. It's a different type of enjoyment. But my life is so much better, so much more complete now because of my change in the way I am, the way I act, the way that I deal with things. And when things are tough, I just look to the sky and say, Lord, I need some help. I can't do this alone. And you can see the smile on my face. It definitely has made me a better person today.
Just one final question, and we're offering the book Without Word, which is a incredible, riveting story of Jim and Jill Kelly for your gift to Crossroads. And so I can't think of a better way to share the gospel, the good news, than to get this book. And the transparency and the honesty with which Jill writes is just, my wife just read that and was like overwhelmed. You've got 2 teens now.
Yes, I do.
And so as a parent, having gone through all that you have, how are you and Jill raising them? What's the monitor? What's the encouragement?
Well, number one, faith, trust in the Lord. I think that we have been very, very blessed to have the kids that we have, their faith, their belief, their trust in their parents, that what we say is the truth. What we say they can take to heart, and just how they react as young adults, because you expect kids to be kids, and we do too, but also be kids that that your parents can be proud of them. And we've been very, very blessed, because as soon as I tell people that I have 2 teenage daughters, they're like, "Oh my, God bless you." I'm like, you know what? I'm very blessed to have 2 girls that understand what life's about, even though they have a long journey ahead of them. But you set the foundation for these girls at a young age, and I'm a firm believer of, teaching them young, because bad habits are hard to break. You teach them the right things at an early age, they will take that with them into the future and into their adulthood, and have them believe that their parents set the foundation for their life. Man, I couldn't ask for anything better. And I couldn't ask for a better wife too, because the father is supposed to be the leader of the pack, but when it comes to the gospel, when it comes to the Lord, my wife is the leader. I don't speak Christianese. I speak from the heart. I still am learning, and the old saying, we're still all work in progress. But my wife is so much further ahead of me, but I continue to learn day in and day out, not only from my quiet time, but also when my wife speaks. So I have at my grasp right here somebody that could be almost like you, Pastor. She is the mother and the husband that every father and husband dreams about.